everybody. Welcome back to the Behind the Scenes Best Ranger podcast. I'm Trent Petty again, and today we have the special pleasure of actually getting to talk to a couple of the competitors that have been training up from the 82nd Airborne Division. A couple of weeks ago, I was out there, was able to spend a day with them, see how their training was going, and get some information from them. Now they're doing me the pleasure of linking back up via Zoom so that we can do a quick podcast about a little bit of their train up and what it's like out of the 82nd Airborne to be preparing for the Best Ranger competition while also still having roles and responsibilities within their division. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce my two competitors that are with us. Go ahead and say hi, guys.
I'm First Lieutenant Kohlauer. I'm in 1504 Red Devils.
My name is Sergeant Novo, and I'm with the 325 White Falcons.
Okay, awesome. A little 1st Brigade and a little 2nd Brigade action. Both brigades I was formerly in, so that's awesome. So I'm gonna jump right into the questions because I know you guys got a busy schedule. So bear with me and we'll get through this. So one of the questions that we had lined up was, what are the advantages of training for the Best Ranger competition on Fort Bragg? As we know, like you've got Area J, you've got stuff like that, but I'm sure from back when I was a pre-ranger instructor in 2014 and we hosted it out at pre-ranger and just ran them through the gauntlet out there. I'm sure things have changed and are better or worse, but from your perspective, what are some of the advantages you guys are getting by training out at Fort Bragg?
We got a lot of sand trails. Running on sand with all the elevation and terrain changes helps us a lot. It's getting faster without getting our joints too banged up, I guess.
Sorry.
Go ahead, sorry.
Besides the terrain, in terms of resources, Fort Bragg is very generous. We have ranges that you can drive 45 minutes and still not find all of them. And we have the CERT compound that has its own Darby Queen out there. So we're getting plenty of trigger time as well, too.
We've also got great gyms with a lot of low impact cardio equipment that we use. We got H2F support, great coaches that spend time with us training, and overall, it's a great experience.
Awesome. And with that, leads me kind of into the next question. You do have some unique challenges out there with the training environment. So what do you see as far as like with the training environment, with the sand being challenges, and how do you overcome running in the sand versus, or running on the concrete more?
I would say that running on the sand for us primarily helps kind of reduce the impact since we're putting in so many miles. But when we're trying to do something that requires speed, or we're trying to work on our speed, that's really when we go out to somewhere like airfield where it's generally pretty flat and it's mostly pavement. So we're pretty much tailoring where we're running on a daily basis to our needs for that day.
Okay.
It gets old running around Area J every day, so we like a change of scenery. We're planning a trip to Uwharrie.
Yeah, Uwharrie National Forest.
Yeah.
Just get some elevation going and get some nice scenery.
Nice. Yeah, I remember when I was out of Bragg, I was there for about 17 years of my career, and still have scarred memories of Area J and being a pre-ranger instructor out there, running the 5-miler every class. Probably the most miserable memory I have of Area J. But Uwharrie is a really good place. When I was in 1st Brigade, we did an actual reconnaissance training event out at Uwharrie where we basically they had to announce it in the news because we were actually out there setting in hide sites and watching people camp. So it was a really fun, exciting thing. But thank God we didn't see anything crazy. So with that being said, I'll move into my next question. So how does access to the division training resources impact your preparation? And what I'm talking about here is I noticed while I was there in town, y'all had H2F and stuff. When I was in division, that wasn't a thing, or it was getting started, but it was still kind of, leading up to it. So how does that impact y'all's preparation, having those resources?
Specifically for H2F, we have a coach who's dedicated to us on a pretty much daily basis. Granted, we're not lifting every day of the week, but the recovery assets that H2F also provides are there on a daily basis as well. So we have a day where it's a 90-minute run, and then later in the day we're also rucking and we have a lift. We can go to H2F in between those events and use the Theragun, the Normatec boots, roll out, whatever we need.
Also, division schedule a bunch of ranges for us. So we do shoot every week. We have detail that supports us, makes it so much easier. Division provided us with nice transportation, and that allows us to actually enjoy the experience and have a good time and get the training done.
And that's awesome. And that's good to see like the division actually like supporting the training of Best Ranger, like the way it's came from years past and where whether PRC just ran in and there's a bunch of old RIs out there just trying to figure out some training to now you guys having some good resources and division really, setting you guys up for success, which is good because that's one of the things you still see in all the different teams when we look across Best Ranger and everybody that competes. You can really tell what units really put in the effort to make sure their guys are prepared. And hopefully that pays off for you guys this year. With that being said, what are some of the expectations do you guys have as a team for Best Ranger this year? Like, obviously, I know the goal is to win it, but, just finishing it, being in the top 16 teams is also a major thing. But I don't quote me on this, but I think the last time the 82nd Airborne Division won it was like 1994. So I'm not saying like it's due, but like, is this something you guys, expectations you're putting up there at number one?
I would say the really nice thing is that everybody starts with a blank sheet. So we're in the same position as all the other teams right now. And it's really the decisions that we make over the next 6 months are we're really going to fortify our position in the competition. And I think since now we have the mindset that we want to place well and we want all 4 teams or 3 teams, however many we get, to place well, that when we keep that in the forefront of our mind, it shifts our training to be more direct so that we can end up being in the position that we can go.
I believe that 82nd is the best infantry division in the Army. Therefore, we have to represent and place accordingly at BRC. So pressure's on us.
Absolutely. So like a few weeks ago when I was up there, you guys were training. And I know y'all were kind of having a down day for that day, so we didn't get too much footage or anything like that. But now with how early you guys got together, which y'all have been together how long now? Just probably about a month now.
4 or 5 weeks.
So having about 4 or 5 weeks now, how has your program started to evolve now that you're starting to see the strengths and weaknesses of the different guys within y'all's teams?
To be fair, so right now we focusing on building the base. So we're putting a lot of miles, and yet, we're still not going crazy to prevent all the injuries. So we're going to slowly transition into higher mileage, more tempo workouts, more brick style workouts later on. So far it's, a lot of zone 2, a lot of miles, and everyone is just there, doing their best job, and we're all having a good time training right together as a team.
That's exactly right. The name of the game leading up to the holiday block lead is injury prevention. Because we're pretty much useless if we get injured this early, then we can't train throughout the spring. So by, like you said, building the base, getting up the foundation of miles, and staying injury free, that's really what we're making our mark.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, people sometimes just don't realize how much injury prevention really does matter. And I was talking to the coach from RTB the other day. It was one of the big things is people don't realize like competing for Best Rangers like a college sport or a pro sport. You want to peak at the right time as you're hitting the playoffs, or in this case, as you're hitting BRC. And with that, injury prevention is such a huge thing. I remember when I was a soldier in the 82nd, I thought I was Superman. I had already been, gone to Afghanistan, Iraq, done all the fun things, stepped on an ID, got blown up, came back, went to Ranger school, and I was, going to SFAS, get selected, and I come back, and my captain at the time in 1st Brigade, he was getting ready to go to the long walk, and it was so crazy because me, I'm like, I'm a stud, I'm Superman. I'll just go work out, I'll just ride it out. Q course isn't going to be a problem for me. And he's over here, he's a captain, get ready for the long walk, and he's reading these books about marathon running and injury prevention. And I'm like, what a nerd. Like, why would you worry so much about injuries? Like, just send it. Well, long story short, I ended up not making it through the Q course because I tore both my Achilles a couple months after that, from not being very smart when running and injury prevention. And let's just say he's possibly on the other side of the fence as, a lot higher position and still rocking his career out. So injury prevention, BRC or Army in general, it's such an important thing that I think a lot of teams sometimes don't really think about because they're just sending it. Like, all right, let's hope it sticks. Like let's just run, and then when we show up, we'll just keep running. So,
Oh, yeah.
um,
The tryouts that we did to get on the team it was a very humbling experience for me personally. We put a lot of miles in a very short time, and it showed me personally all the weaknesses I have and all the little, like muscles and tendons in my body that I need to work on to prevent all the injuries and make sure that I'll be able to finish the event. Yeah.
oh, absolutely. And as you get further in your career, you two guys are still look young. When you get my age, it's like you get out and it takes 10 minutes just to warm your body up before you can start moving. But all right, so next thing I'll ask you about. So how do you guys balance your daily duties with the intense prep required during BRC? Like as far as I know, like you're an officer, I know you get BMM'd and like, hey, we're training for BRC, but I know as an officer and enlisted as a NCO, your job is still going to call, like you still have responsibility. So how do you guys balance that while also making sure you get the most out of your training?
Well, Trent, the nice thing, or the privilege that we've been afforded, we've been put on special duty orders. So this is all we focus on. And I think very few people get an opportunity in their career to be able to dedicate 6 months of their time and other people's time to making themselves the best at something. So we don't take the opportunity lightly, and pretty much every minute of our day, whether it's at home or in garrison, is spent preparing, whether that's working out, recovering, eating, sleeping, pretty much doing whatever we need to do to be successful.
Awesome.
However, that has taken us away from our daily jobs.
Yeah. Well, and at the end of the day, I mean, the Army's going to keep chugging along, so like when you're done with this and you've brought, great pride back to the 82nd, plugging yourself back in as a, PL or XO, you'll hit the ground running. And in my opinion, probably also earn more respect from your guys for going out there and showing what you got and putting your name up there on the board. So I think that's pretty cool. With the 82nd Airborne Division's long history of sending people to Best Ranger, obviously, always getting a few teams because they always usually fare pretty well. Um, with how division has typically in the last few years placed somewhere, anywhere from 6 to 16 or lower. Typically here lately, what does that legacy mean to you guys? I brought up them winning the last time in 1994. Like, what's that legacy? Do for you guys when you're preparing for this?
For me personally, it's a very big point of pride, to be able to give back to a division that has given so much to me, and probably Novo here as well. I think that being able to represent is incredibly important for me. And at the end of the day, we're just two normal paratroopers, just like everyone else. And I think by us competing and doing well, it shows other soldiers in our formation that they can do the exact same thing.
Absolutely. Everyone on the team is just a normal guy. And I'm really passionate about Ranger School as well as about BRC. And I try to put myself, like among my soldiers, and I trying to motivate them. And by telling them, hey, I feel like if you would have done tryouts this year, you definitely would have made the team. And I think you should compete next year. Because like if I'm doing this, then it means that you and you can do it as well. And I feel like if we're gonna make BRC a bigger deal and really integrate it into the culture, I feel like we'll have more competitors and better competitors, and we will start placing better at the competition. So far, yes, we won it in 1994, but in 2017 we also had a very good showing. 82nd took a second place, and last year was pretty good as well. So we're looking forward, doing better this upcoming year.
Awesome. And that says a lot, just coming out and competing. Like you said, you competing will show the way for other guys to compete and stuff like that, which I think is great. Like one of the big issues I always had as a platoon sergeant was, I was the only Ranger tab platoon sergeant, whatever company I was in. And, you have these other guys that while they're not going to Ranger school and, regular Army always struggles with that. Like, how do we get more guys to Ranger school, get them motivated? Well, me as a platoon sergeant being Ranger tabbed, like I pushed obviously going to Ranger school, but part of it was showing the guys like, hey, you're just as good as me. Just make that effort, like go forward and do it. And so same thing with competing. I guarantee you there's a lot of dudes that are probably in better shape than you or me or a lot of people that we don't even know. But like one, they don't know how to even sign up to compete, or two, they're just too hesitant on their own capabilities. Like, okay, like should I even try to compete? And now they see someone like you, someone that's leading them every day in formation, and be like, hey, well, I know like he's awesome, but like I think I could do it too. And like you lead that, and hopefully, it does continue to spread and develop, the next phases of not just best Rangers, but also Rangers in general within our military. So I think that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Uh,
I try to come every day to my battalion and show them what a great schedule I have, what a great, you know, workouts I'm doing every day, how much rounds I shoot downrange every week. And I'm trying to make them jealous, therefore get them motivated to compete next year.
Oh, absolutely. Because I mean, at the end of the day, they want to train, they want to do stuff, they want to sit in the day room and hang out and stuff like that. So that's awesome. Um, what qualities do you look for when you guys are selecting your teams to represent the division? What do you guys look for as a team when you're pairing each other up? Like when you're getting a partner within your group, so you have like 6 to 10 people. What are y'all looking for when selecting them? How y'all make y'all's teams?
So this is both our first year doing the competition through the 82nd. So we're not fully read on to exactly how the teams will be built, but from what we've seen so far is the name of the game is achieving balance. So having two people that match each other physically, but also complement each other mentally. Because if you have two people that are incredibly strong at one thing, but they both severely lack in another skill area, that's where you can see a lot of pitfalls during the competition. But if you have people that work well together, I mean, they're friends outside of the team, and they're both intelligent people. That's when you'll really get the most out of them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna always, work better with a guy that you're partnered up with that's a friend too. But definitely I was talking to the RTB coach yesterday when I was doing his interview, and we were talking about the two studs that I saw out of their group. And he made the point, he's like, yeah, but they might not even be on the same team because they might both be studs, but not be able to shoot a single target. And it's like, so like, cool, we're glad you're in great shape. But the cognitive or the tactics and stuff like that, if it's lacking, like having that balance between the teams. And that's one thing I noticed too, like, Whitney, who competed for 4 years out of ARTB, his first year he was not the smart guy in the team. Van Horn was actually the guy that was like the smart, still in good shape, but smart, knew how to do things. And Whitney kind of learned from him. And then as you saw, Whitney got his third and fourth attempts. Now he's coaching the teams, and he's, more balanced in everything, but that first year he competed, he was more of just a strong, fast Ranger. Then you got to have that balance within the team. So that's super important. Um, let's see, I'm gonna skip down a few questions here. What motivates you personally to train for and compete in Best Ranger as a competitor? Not just as a lieutenant or a staff sergeant or sergeant, but like what gets you up and what personally drives you to do this?
I believe I hit on it a little bit earlier, but like I said, it's a big privilege to be able to spend 6 months, just dedicate yourself to becoming the best at something. So you really owe it to yourself and everybody else who's giving you this time to spend every waking minute making yourself the best. And if you don't, it's a waste.
Absolutely.
I just want to do something hard. I just want to get humbled, by doing something hard, something I've never done before, and embrace the misery, see how much it's gonna suck, see how how weak I am, but you have to realize you're weak in order to get stronger. So looking forward
Right.
to the challenge. Yeah.
Nice. And hopefully it pushes you hard. It's so funny. I like seeing every year you'll see competitors be like, man, that was miserable. I'm never going to do it again. And then the next year I see them lined up again back for their same unit and be like, so I thought you weren't doing this again. Yeah, but I love it. I got to do better. So, and that's the competitor in all of us, and that's where I think, the best man will win. All right. So let's see here. Um, some of these we've kind of already hit on, so I'll just go kind of straight into the closing a little bit. What do you hope the rest of the Army and the public takes away from seeing the 82nd compete this year? Like, what do you hope everyone takes? Are you putting regiment on notice, like, hey, the 82nd is back, we're here, or like, what do you think for when people think of the public and they think of the 82nd Airborne? You always hear the red phone picked up the 82nd answers, but coming out of BRC, what statement are you wanting to make?
Well, as I said before, 82nd is the best infantry division in the Army. Therefore, we're gonna be out there, in the competition, doing our best, in hopes that we're gonna place accordingly.
Yeah, I think my biggest sentiment that I wish or that I hope the public will have about us is that we're always ready to go. I mean, like you said, our namesake, the 82nd Airborne Division, we're always ready to go. We're the nation's QRF, and we should live that mantra in every aspect of our life.
Awesome, absolutely. um let's see here. Now, say you guys go on and win, and this is I'm kind of changing this last thing here, but say you guys go on to win, or say you get knocked out day one. Hopefully, it's the first, but um, do you plan on using these to maybe strengthen and competing again for division next year, or coaching possibly in the future? Can you see yourself staying involved in any way after this year's competition?
I feel like continuity is super important when it comes to uh, best ranger competition. And the more experience we can acquire as an organization, the more experience we can pass down on every next competitor, the better we're gonna do, every year. I, in order to win, and dominate BRC, you have to make it part of the culture, and you have to have everyone involved that's done it before, so we can improve as a unit long term.
I think continuity is especially tough for officers because you have timelines that you have to meet. But I'm blessed to be able to serve in the 82nd Airborne Division as long as they'll have me. So if I am allowed to stick around that long, then I absolutely will come back. Yes.
Awesome. Well,
Sorry, this year we have a number of non-commissioned officers that participated last year, such as Sergeant Barrett, Sergeant Nagel. They did their best to support us, to pass down the experience, the mistakes. They shared the mistakes and what they learned, what they should have done differently, what they wish they've done. Therefore, it's been super helpful having them, help us.
That's awesome. And I know, like, having a coach, and I hate to even keep going back to like regiment and stuff like that, but they've had a coach that's done it for 10 years. They have a system that they have in place that they plug and play. And 82nd obviously, has a system that they're using and they're developing and stuff like that. And I think that's great. But like having guys that had competed before and being able to come back and talk about it. I remember back in my day, it was Sergeant Major Stackpole. He coached a couple times, and then he was like, actually, I'm just going to go compete again because he had already won it once. And I think that year, the 82nd placed second when he decided to compete again. So it's like, it's great to see, competitors compete, turn around, continue to compete, or, step into the role of coach and develop in the next, phase of Best Rangers. So I just want to close it up real quick and open up to you guys. Do you have any questions that you'd like me to answer? Anything, obviously without affecting the integrity of the competition, but I'll answer anything I can.
When it comes to drones this year, would we have to fly the FPV drones with goggles and everything?
The one that I tested out,
Mhm.
yeah, you would.
Mhm.
So
Gotcha. It's going to be a
Yeah.
novel experience for a lot of people. It's hard to find.
No questions for me. I'm just excited to see what you have in store.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you guys down here. My next stop is the 101st, and I'm gonna let them know that you guys are already gonna win it all, so they don't need to bother, right? But no, I really appreciate you guys giving me the time. I know you guys got a busy time training, and good luck in all your train up. And I look forward to seeing you guys in April, and hopefully seeing you guys place pretty well.
Thank you.
Of
Appreciate
course.
it.
Thank you, Trent.